Hello everyone, welcome back to Skeleton's Library. Today, I had the video I planned this week got kind of delayed due to audio issues and me having to re-record it. And I just wanted to talk about an author who passed away recently, Koji Suzuki, because he was a titan of the industry. He was someone, even if you don't recognize the name, you know his creations. He wrote the Ring trilogy. I'm pretty sure probably everyone knows what the Ring trilogy is, and Sadako, the lady who comes from the TV, one of the most recognizable horror villains of all time. And like I said, I feel like most people probably just don't know of the actual author. Most people just know the movies or whatever. I never saw the movies. I never really cared to because I heard, you know, not very accurate to the novel. But I have read the first Ring book. And so I just kind of wanted to reflect on my thoughts of it and everything. With the, this tragic passing of such a legend. I have a friend who the Ring trilogy and novels are like her favorite series. So she's the one who I kind of saw reading it and I was like, you know what? I'll hop on it. I also just like Japanese horror in general. So it's an easy grab for me. And overall, what Koji Suzuki really impressed me with is his characters. I think the overall mystery of the Ring is kind of whatever. But the protagonist, I can't remember the name. It just might hurt the fact that I say they're so memorable. But the protagonist, his friend, maybe Ryuji, and Sadako are all so like memorable presences in that first book. Suzuki really loved like weirdos and like messed up or odd protagonists. And it really makes his book like stand out more. Because I feel like a lot of horror protagonists can be like generic or fit a very specific trope. I feel like his are always kind of counter to that kind of idea. These are weirdos, obsessive people kind of like outcasted from society, who kind of have like this just very specific obsession or niche, and we get to follow them and how this interacts with the plot. And in this first book, the protagonist is this selfish guy. Like, he's a selfish, kind of a prick. He's almost like kind of inhuman, like not in like not like a super bad way, but a very, I want to say casual or like subtle way. Like, he's not over the top or psychopathic. But he's not likable at all. He kind of reminds me of a roach or something. But his best friend is really the impressive part because this is a character that's introduced in some of the most insane ways I've ever read. Where we get backstory about this fucking horrible thing he's done. I mean, one of the worst things you can ever possibly do in this life is just casually introduced. But he becomes the emotional kind of like crux of this movie. He's the one that feels more empathy for like this mystery and Sadako more than the protagonist. Like, all kind of like the emotional payoff it's surrounding him. I just think it was a very bold and cool move to do with a character who pretty much we know right away for doing one of the worst things humanly possible. And of course, it's not that black and white. There is kind of a twist with that specific part of the story. I still just found it so compelling that he wrote such a character tied to a horrible action and made him the character that you're like, oh damn, he actually cares. You feel like he's repelling things forward. He's so capable. And you just kind of have the protagonist there who gets overshadowed by him. And next to the best friend, who I think is probably the best character in the novel, we have Sadako, who in this first book, we don't get too much of her. The book is about, uncovering the mystery of the curse and the tape. And so, towards the end, you finally learn about Sadako and her backstory and all that happened. So it's not like much of a character. It's not like we get to see her or like get to know her, really. But she might be one of the best cases of haunting a narrative because she literally does it. But her personality and character is kind of just so inseeped into this story where she always feels like she's in the background. I really feel like Suzuki just did that so well, of making such an iconic character so instantly before you even really get to delve into her. You instantly feel her, you feel her influence in every single page and every single word. When you finally get that backstory, you're like, oh. I honestly feel like I would say underrated because I think she's a really popular character, but I do feel like most people just grab the aesthetics of her. Cosplayers like dressing up with her. She looks cool. She's fun to draw. There's a lot more to her, and I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate levels of depth there. Maybe that's just because they've seen the movies, and I don't know how they treat her or handle her. But there is like a care in the work with her character that I really respect. I think there's a reason she's so iconic, even if the movies don't do her as much justice as the book. I don't know, that's just such a rare ability. Suzuki really, I don't know, he kind of made like, I feel like The Ring is the quintessential Japanese horror. And Sadako is kind of the Japanese horror villain. And when you think of Japanese horror, you probably think of grunge and The Ring. Maybe some Junji Ito, of course. But when you think of a horror character that's, from Japan, like you probably think of Sadako. I don't know who else you'd really think about. She's probably the first thing that comes to mind, and she comes so fast. Koji Suzuki, I don't think his prose was like too amazing. I think his books, not even that as a knock, his books are very, very easy to read and get through. So if you want to read them, hop on them. But again, he was just so good at these characters and making them feel alive and real. And I'm just so impressed by the way Sadako has permeated into this culture of horror. And I think The Ring probably will always be the quintessential Japanese horror. I think you can feel its influence in everything you read, especially Japanese horror. Japanese novel you might read probably has hints of The Ring in it, especially if it's a supernatural story. Like, this man was a titan of the industry, and I just feel like a lot of people don't recognize or respect him as much as they probably should. Just because I feel like the movies are way more popular. That's why I just wanted to talk about it and bring it up a little bit this week, because he was a legend. I feel like he didn't get enough recognition, and that he was probably rich. Like, don't get me wrong, he got enough success. He's probably giant in Japan, but I just feel like in the West specifically, his name just isn't known enough. And I feel like that's a shame. So I just wanted to make this video about him and what stood out about The Ring to me. He was a legend, and I hope he rests in peace. And I will see you guys next time.